So Erev Tov, Chevra. Hello, dear ones. I guess we're going first, so a little bit of internal adjustment here. And the thing that we wanted to share with you is an outgrowth of this Ohala. So to feel as the years go on and we're here, for me this is an opportunity to be with what's so, or connected in the conference somehow. I mean, you know, maybe now we'll play the song from the first album or something like that, but mostly want to just be present to what's unfolding. So in the beautiful mosh pit of music that's happened here all week, one evening I did not stay up until 2:30 like some of the Cabaret had the stamina for, but in those few hours we were together, it was beautiful to behold us. You know, Aura was to my right, and then down on the floor with some other people, and Beth was holding this stillness and sweet melody, and Brett was playing guitar up there, and Brielle and Lori and Colby, all new Smicha students, were singing, and Shir was in front, and Yaakov, Gabriel came by for a while, and it was just wonderful to see this cross-pollination. I'm beginning to understand as I grow older some of the nachas that Reb Zalman got at different times. But particularly for me, it was to see us all together. That becoming a multi-generational stream of Jewish life and a contribution to the planet doesn't mean by definition the siloing of those generations into their generation to coexist. For me, the most exciting thing, you know, is to be able to nurture each other and to have our own places where we gather, you know, in our various gaggles, but also, you know, be able to be with each other. You know, I was recalling to someone, you know, my first Kala where I performed, and Reb Aryeh Zichronah Livracha and Reb Yitz were behind the stage, and I was coming up. I was so nervous, and I'd never done anything of my own in public before, and they surrounded me so beautifully, these you know, male mentor models of mine on either side, and began to coo sweetly in my ear and say, why are you nervous? You're terrible. You're gonna, you know, just imagine the flop, it's over, you have nothing to offer. Why would you even be nervous? And I was laughing so hard I missed my name being called. I had to be called twice, I just barely made my own spot. So our mentoring approaches have changed since then. Oh, is that it? Okay. And that's really all I want to share with you. So here's the thing that arose in that pit, and Shir and I were doing some back and forth. I just heard these chords. You all added your beautiful voices, and want to offer this as we begin to close our time together, as we bring the angels in, but axiomatically we're going to do it horizontally and not vertically. So misvivi, from around me, and bitochi, and from within me. Let's call the angels, and any angels you need to call forth that will be your guides and your keepers. Maybe it's somebody in this room that's been like an angel for you this week. What do you want to bring home from this gathering together? It should
tell you a little bit of maybe something you didn't know about people that you know so well. I didn't have a chance when Sean came up. We know him very well. I don't know if you know that I knew him when he was just a newly ordained rabbi in the Reconstructionist College. He was really cute then too. He's written some really good publications too. You should look at them. He wrote something called Brother Keepers, which was great. It's good for men to read. And did you know that he was... Sorry, talking into the mic. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about Chazan Jack. Okay, I won't. But I'll tell you something about Rabbi Rebecca Kushner. She was a wonderful professional flautist in Europe, and now she plays flute, but she's also a rabbi. She serves 2 congregations. She's the prairie rabbi. She serves congregations in Iowa and Illinois, and they're going to play a beautiful contemplative piece for us. She's really, really a starker, as my father would say. She's been really sick for the last couple of days, but she's going to play for us anyway.
Is called The Eternal Candle, written by Ora Bat Chaim, whose husband is the very, I guess, the best klezmer clarinetist in the world, Joel Feitman.
Thank you so much, and we especially want to thank you, Kazan Jack, for stepping in for our cantorial student, Baruch Morris, who had a little surgery on his guitar hand and was going to play and then couldn't. So we wish him a refuah shlema, all of us. And there you are. How you doing? It's good? It's good? Okay. Extra refuah blessings for all of us. Okay, so next up on our...
Excuse me, hold the press.
Oh. Oh, okay. All right. Before that, I'm sorry, Steve. You got to wait 1 second. So this is important. So this is just in, and I guess you should know about this. Everybody will hear this. This just came in. NASA has just released this information regarding their discovery of life on Mars. But we're going to have to deal with it, right? So not the kind one might expect. The first indication came when the small roving vehicle Sojourner spotted a sign on the rocky terrain of the red planet that read, "Welcome to the Chabad house. Bring Mashiach now." The sign in English thrilled and confused NASA scientists back in Houston, who initially had no idea what it meant. Only after extensive research, Wikipedia, did they learn that it revealed the presence of a dedicated and particularly hardy group of Lubavitch Hasidim known for their tireless efforts to reach Jews in even the most remote regions. "We've been here for some time doing our work," said a cheerful Rabbi Lou Steinwalker, captain of the spaceship Enterprise 770, in an exclusive phone interview. When asked how long he had been on Mars and how he got there, he only commented, "Baruch Hashem," then excused himself, explaining that it was time for mincha, and he was looking for a minion. In a subsequent phone call, the rabbi noted that in recent days, Yeshivas Chovevei HaShamayim opened its doors, offering high levels of interstellar learning. In this conversation, he also expressed concern over the recent purchase of the Red Rocks across the way by a Reform congregation for their new modern sanctuary. Following up on that information, we contacted Rabbi Ovi Ben Kanovi, a progressive leader in Israel, who said that in a recent meeting with the chief rabbis in Yerushalayim, they recommended that if women and men want to pray together in peace, they should go to Mars. "So we did," said Rabbi Kanovi, "and no one has bothered us, except the local conservative congregation that keeps trying to borrow our membership list." A conservative congregation on Mars? Yes, it is true, acknowledged the leader of the JTS. "We discovered that blending halacha and modernity just doesn't work on Earth." "We're always looking for new venues," explained Rabbi Leah Organa. The rabbi then spoke sadly of financial competition from the United Jewish Appeal Interplanetary Division, which has been scouring Mars via satellite in search of potential donors. Alara Katan, the chief executive of that charity, acknowledged that highly motivated fundraisers have been active throughout the galaxy for several light years. "We've determined through our strategic planet plan that our most compelling marketing strategy is rescue. The trouble is we haven't found anyone out there to save." That's been a problem as well for Ben Siscone of the... No Orville fans? Okay. From the Anti-Defamation League, "We are prepared to open a major branch on Mars, and we've already ordered the press releases and the bumper stickers, but so far no one has defamed us." The ADLO is now considering whether the lack of defamation may be due to a subtle, perhaps even hostile form of disinterest in Jews. That qualifies as anti-Semitism. All this sudden interest among Jews about Mars has motivated Isaac Kalon to form a new umbrella group, the Conference of Presidents of Major Martian Jewish Organizations, the CPMMJO. He said that group has already received several calls from anonymous rabbis inquiring as to whether there were any Pell Grants available on Mars. Finally, a number of kosher for Passover tours have scouted out the Red Planet as a unique alternative to places like Palm Springs in Hawaii for jaded holiday vacationers. One tour operator noted that Rabbi Orrin Wallace has already been hired to conduct and broadcast the first communal seders on Mars to be called the Maror of the World. Space stations are already under construction to transport large supplies of oxygen, horseradish, and matzah for the 8-day festival. It will be out of this world, the travel expert said, and I assure you, very tastefully done. Chazan and Magid Steve Piper. You know, he runs the Song and Spirit Institute for healing and peace. For healing. No peace. Just healing. No healing. No
healing at all.
No healing. No healing.
Everybody wants to get into the act.
I used to visit my grandmother, my Baba, after Sunday school. We'd pick up my daughter and go see her, and she was like 90-something years old. And she would always say, "Tell me something new in the world," at the senior apartments. And we told her about a bread machine we got once. This is years ago. We got a bread machine, and we described it how you just set it all up at night, and it needs and her eyes get wider and wider. She's gonna get 92 years old. She says, "It needs the dough for you." She said, "Wait, the hours it was probably years I spent kneading bread." Such a machine. This was like beyond anything. It was done. Jews on Mars, that wouldn't have been as exciting. The internet, no. A machine that would knead bread. So I don't have to go to Mars. And given that mess, I don't want to go to Mars. I don't know. I've said this before. This is my favorite shul. This is the shul I like to daven at. This is the Farbringen at Brigadoon, because we vanish into this, and it all comes back together again, and it's always there somewhere, right? And it's been a lot of years, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to be part of this amazing group at the beginning. I really wasn't. But it gets under your skin in a good way. Can't see with them, can't see without them. I got you under my skin. I got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart that you're already a part of me. Woo. Yeah, I got you under my skin. I tried so hard not to begin. I said to myself, this affair never can go so well. But how can I resist when, baby, I know so well that I got you under my skin? I'd sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near, in spite of the warning voice that comes in the night and repeats in my ear. Don't you know that, fool, you never can win? Use your mentality, wake up to reality. But each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. 'Cause I got you under my skin. Ooh, yeah, yeah, sake of having him here in spite of the warning voice that comes in the night and repeats. He yells in my ear, don't you know, little fool, you never can win. Use your mentality, you huffers, wake up to reality. But each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. 'Cause I got you under my skin. Yes, I got you all under my skin.
Not bad for a mystic. I'd like to personally take credit for Steve being here, as I once witnessed him in a trance actually leaving his body, and I was the only one who had the wherewithal to go across the room and get you back in there. So, there you go. So, we have Reb Yaakov Gabriel. I know that you think you know everything there is to know about him, but do you know that the man received a Juno Award for Best Children's Album in 92 in Canada? That is a Canadian Grammy, my friends. Do you know, I just found this out, that in 1989 you recorded lead vocals for Singing Along with Kermit?
I did.
You recorded with Kermit T. Frog?
Not really.
Kermit
But I was
T. Frog?
I tried more something than you can.
Do you have friends playing with you right now, Reverend Jack? Okay, come on up if you're playing and singing with Reverend Jack right now. You are so blessed.
Okay. It's always good to follow an introduction like that, because then you have to live up to it. Okay. So, no. You know, he played so nicely just now that I made him change keys, but I have to tell him it before I got up on stage. Because he can cut it. He's the kind that can cut it. Okay. So this is G. Where's the key of the G? Okay. A little while back, I was in Denver. And while I was in Denver, I was part of a concert called Jews Do Jews Too. And that concert, that's funny, nobody laughed. People from Oakland, the Bay Area laughed, everybody was shy. That was actually, it was not sexually intended. It was more like, I don't know, man. I don't have a censor here, can't say anything, can I? What do you think? So, okay. Anyway, I'm running out of time. That was really fun. Thanks, man. Okay, Jews Do Jews Too was about Kol Isha, singing the songs of women songwriters, Jewish women songwriters. So I had to look around and, you know, Laura Nyro was taken, Carole King was very taken, you know. But I love this song, but not the way I heard it. So I decided to do a Bob Dylan version of a Julie Gold song. This song was the song of the first, hate to say this, the first Iraqi war. Because that's what it was, the first Iraqi war. All right, this is how Bob might sing it, but without the nose stuff. After 2 days. And you can help me, but only if you want to. Who thinks they want to help me sing this? Who thinks they don't want to help me sing this? Who's not going to raise your hand no matter what I say? I love you guys. I love honesty among renewal people. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Okay. snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes across the land. It's the song of peace, it's the song of love, it's the song of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no cons, no bombs, no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are all instruments marching on a common band, playing songs of love, playing songs of peace. There's the songs of every man. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I can't comprehend what all this war is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of love, it's the prayer of every man. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of love, it's the heart of every man. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. Acapella, here we go. Janet.
Phil, son-in-law.
Steve. And I'm really happy to be here. I'm a vodka drunk.
I've been ignoring you like since I started here, Jack.
All right.
You kind of have to. So I did a little cyber stalking of people, as you might know, and I found this really cool description of you, Rabbi Andrea C.K. It said this. It said that as part of your smicha studies, you published a translation of Kalanimus Kalman Shapira's book, Conscious Community. And then it said that you led your Connecticut's Interfaith Power and Life chapter for 10 years, and you helped establish a congregational carbon footprint self-study called This Old House of Worship. And that this old house of worship became a utility-vetted program, and over 250 Connecticut congregations took those classes in geographical clusters. I'm really impressed with you. And then there was a quote that said this. You said the coolest thing I've heard in a long time. You said, what is conscious community? What can we do together that is harder to do as individuals? Judaism offers us tremendous wisdom for pressing current concerns. Right values, right relationship with land, food, and money. Powerful communication tools for conflict resolution and strong, healthy communities. Amen, sister, you're amazing. Here comes a story called Tales of the Berlader Hasidim. Yes? No.
My Bubby was born in the Romanian village of Berlado, and she came to the United States in 1905, the year of Halley's Comet. When I was a little girl, I remember her telling me a story that I didn't understand very well at the time, and now I understand it a little better. The story had a very strange name. She would refer to the headless Hasidim of Berlad. And this is what she told me. The Jews of Berlad were not the best Jews. They weren't the worst Jews. You know, sometimes when they would be talking amongst themselves, a little gossip might flow into the talk a little bit, and then a little more maybe. But they were sincere. And every year in the summer, a little committee got together and they listened to the merchants and the travelers that passed through, and they thought, what rebbes are out there now that could help us? And they invited those rebbes to come to town, one after another, year after year, for the holy month of Elul, when we prepare for the holy month of Tishrei, the high holidays. The first rebbe that came to their town was called the Vulnerable Rebbe, because he was coming from that place of yeah. And the Vulnerable Rebbe, they had heard very good things about the Vulnerable, but when the Vulnerable first got there, they couldn't really sense his impact right immediately, because it just didn't seem like he was doing that much or saying that much. But they noticed in conversations that whenever a conflict arose, the Vulnerable would apologize first, even if it wasn't really on them, you know? So if something had been festering in the community for however long, the Vulnerable would jump in there and say, you know, I saw this brewing and I didn't really address it. I didn't really know how to help you unpack it, and I shied away from it. And that was wrong of me. And when the Vulnerable would take in that small shred of the issue that was really is, the others who were in conflict would rush in and say, no, Rebbe, it isn't you, it was me. I was selfish, it was me, and I was short-tempered. And so after a while, they became to understand the impact of the Vulnerable Rebbe and to take it in a little bit. The following year, they invited the Truther Rebbe. They had heard wonderful things about the Truther Rebbe. They knew this was an amazing person. And the Truther, they could tell right away what the Torah of the Truther was, because I'm sure this doesn't happen in your congregations, but once in a while in Berlin, in a meeting, when a conflict arose, people would act a little juvenile, maybe even adolescent, or chas v'shalom, like babyish. And the reaction that came from that emotion, that reaction, it would stop all the conversation in the room. And what do you do then? And the Truther Rebbe had this wonderful, powerful capacity to say just what was needed with truth and with love, even in public, so that at the moment of that conversation, everyone was helped, the speaker and everyone who heard, and the conversation was able to resume. That's a powerful tool, and they concentrated on that. They tried to learn from it, you know. Well, because of the constraints of time, I won't really have time to tell you about the Torah of the Humbler Rebbe. Unfortunately, that was also very, and the stand-upper Rebbe came. The stand-upper, I would love to tell you some of those stories. According to Bubby, they were just hilarious, but I guess he had to be there. But the last Rebbe that came was a Rebbe called the Reconciler Rebbe. And the Reconciler Rebbe also had such a wonderful Torah for them that they could see and that they could emulate and take into themselves. And this is what the Reconciler did. So, you know, different opinions would come up in the room when they're planning how long should services go and what should we have for break fast and so on and so on. And when there was a conflict, the Reconciler would tune into one party of the conflict and say, what a wonderful idea you're raising about this idea of bringing cooking. It's so great, people, it's very satisfying dish, you know? And the one over here that's saying, no, but we can't because what about the gluten and the carbs and the this and the that? Oh, wonderful that you say that because you bring such a sensitivity for the food diversity in our community. And when each and every one of the members of the Van of Berlin would bring up their perspective, the Reconciler would find the best Torah in it and keep reframing it and bringing them closer and closer and closer each time so that the outcome was truer and higher and better. And they all knew that. They knew they had made it together and that it was better. And from seeing this Torah and their sincere work of incorporating these Torahs into themselves, they knew that they could continue just amongst themselves to help each other. And so they are known as the Headless Hasidim of Berlin.
Lovely, thank you. So I'm going to introduce two things together and let them flow one to the other without interrupting them if I can. Two offerings. The first from Rabbinic Pastor Eve Ilson. We who know Eve know her as a singer, rabbinic pastor, storyteller, therapist, waking dream practitioner, among other things. And then that will flow directly into a particularly special and unique piano performance by Rabbi Elise Seidner Joseph. And for the underachievers among us who feel a little bit intimidated by the second career attorney rabbis and professor rabbis and the ever popular doctor rabbis, Elise has upped the bar just a little bit by being a doctor, rabbi, Juilliard trained pianist. So please enjoy these two wonderful offerings that will go one and then to the next, and I won't interrupt you in between. Eve.
Well, most of you know that most of the time I really come up here and sing something. And this year, nothing was coming. I kept sending the fish hook down, what's the right song? You don't want to know what the fish hook came up with. You can't, oh no.
Right, okay.
But if you try sometimes,
You just might find.
you just might find. My computer sent up what we need, which is a piece that some of you may have gotten in your computers too, that some good soul sent you. A selection from Clarissa Pinkola Estes, which I'm going to read to you. Mis estimados, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. I've heard from so many recently who are deeply and properly bewildered. They're concerned about the state of affairs in our world right now. She wrote these, by the way, years ago. This is from Women Who Run With the Wolves. Ours is a time of almost daily astonishment and often righteous rage over the latest degradations of what matters most to civilized, visionary people. You are right in your assessments. The luster and hubris that some have aspired to while endorsing acts so heinous against children, elders, everyday people, the poor, the unguarded, the helpless, is breathtaking. Yet I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times. Especially do not lose hope. Most particularly because the fact is, we were made for these times. Yes, for years we have been learning, practicing, been in training for and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. I grew up in the Great Lakes and recognize a seaworthy vessel when I see one. Regarding awakened souls, there have never been more able crafts in the waters than there are right now across the world, and they are fully provisioned and able to signal one another as never before in the history of humankind. Look out over the prow. There are millions of boats of righteous souls on the waters with you. Even though your veneers may shiver from every wave in this stormy royal, I assure you that the long timbers composing your prow and rudder come from a greater forest. That long-grained lumber is known to withstand storms, to hold together, to hold its own, and to advance regardless. We have been in training for a dark time such as this since the day we ascended to come to earth. For many decades, worldwide, souls just like us have been felled and left for dead in so many ways, over and over, brought down by naivety, by lack of love, by being ambushed and assaulted by various cultural and personal shocks in the extreme. We have a history of being gutted, and yet remember this especially, we have also, of necessity, perfected the knack of resurrection. Over and over again, we have been the living proof that that which has been exiled, lost, or foundered can be restored to life again. In any dark time, there is a tendency to veer towards fainting over how much is wrong or unmended in the world. Do not focus on that. There is a tendency to fall into being weakened by perseverating on what is outside your reach, by what cannot yet be. Do not focus there. That is spending the wind without raising the sails. We are needed. That is all we can know. And though we meet resistance, we more so will meet great souls who will hail us, love us, and guide us, and we will know them when they appear. Didn't you say you were a believer? Didn't you say you pledged to listen to a voice greater? Didn't you ask for grace? Don't you remember that to be in grace means to submit to the voice greater? Understand the paradox. If you study the physics of a water spout, you will see that the outer vortex whirls far more quickly than the inner one. To calm the storm means to quiet the outer layer, to cause it to swirl much less, to more evenly match the velocity of the inner core, till whatever has been lifted into such a vicious funnel falls back to earth, lays down, is peaceable once again. One of the most important steps you can take to help calm the storm is to not allow yourself to be taken in a flurry of overwrought emotion or desperation, thereby accidentally contributing to the swale and the swirl. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that's within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this poor suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, builds signal fires, causes proper matters to catch fire, to display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others. Both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do. There will always be times when you feel discouraged. I too have felt despair many times in my life, but I do not keep a chair for it. I will not entertain it. It is not allowed to eat from my plate. The reason is this. In my uttermost bones, I know something, as do you. It is that there can be no despair when you remember why you came to earth, whom you serve, and who sent you here. The good words we say and the good deeds we do are not ours. They're the words and deeds of the one who brought us here. In that spirit, I hope you will write this on your wall. When a great ship is harbored and moored, it is safe, there can be no doubt. But that is not what great ships are built for. This comes with much love and a prayer that you remember who you came from and why you came to this beautiful, needful earth. Clarissa Pinkola estes. If we received everyone as if he were the Messiah, many of you know this, reaching with an open hand and an outstretched arm, then if he chose not to reveal himself in our time, it would not have mattered.
I had the privilege of learning with my chavruta and friend, Rabbi Rhonda, who's here, I hope. And she taught a workshop this week about the influence of Reverend Howard Thurman on Reb Zalman. And just want to read a little quote from Reb Zalman's book, My Life at Jewish Renewal. We're going to try a small variation of an experiment that was, because of time constraints, it will be very, very small. Reb Zalman is writing about a class that he took with Reverend Thurman called Spiritual Disciplines and Resources. He says, spiritual disciplines and resources was a tremendous learning experience for me. And he goes on to say, in one memorable exercise, our class was instructed
to translate an experience of one sense into another. For example, we would read a biblical psalm several times and then listen to a beautiful meditative Bach composition in order to hear the psalm's meaning in the sounds of the music. In this way, we refined our senses and became better able to experience the divine around us. Beginning the first lab with the reading of Psalm 139, we reflected on it to Bach's melody. So Bella's going to read the beginning of Psalm 139, and I will invite people to close their eyes and close their devices and open their hearts. And then I will play the Saraband from Bach's Partita number 3.
For the leader of David, a psalm. O Lord, you have examined me and know me. When I sit down or stand up, you know it. You discern my thoughts from afar. You observe my walking and reclining and are familiar with all my ways. There's not a word on my tongue but that you, O Lord, know it well. You hedge me before and behind. You lay your hand upon me. It is beyond my knowledge. It is a mystery. I cannot fathom it. Where can I escape from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I descend to Sheol, you are there too. If I take wing with the dawn to come to rest on the western horizon, even there your hand will be guiding me. Your right hand will be holding me fast. If I say, surely darkness will conceal me, night will provide me with cover. Darkness is not dark for you. Night is light as day. Darkness and light are the same. There's too much good stuff to know. Where to begin? Here. So ask Cantor and Rabbinic Pastor Lisa Levine about her Yoga Shalom, her work in Cuba, her newest song collection, Bridge to Peace, her Jewish gospel music, Soulful Shabbat Ruach, her interfaith, intergenerational choirs and bands, and the incredible array of innovative and inspiring work she's been doing since way back in the Halcyon Cage Conference days when she and I would fight for time on stage. Guess who won? Actually, Rick Reck won.
I feel like we need a little upbeat something or other, but that's not what I planned. So I'll just give you one little fun little thing. Unas bereits, unas bereits, das sind alle Chassiden, das sind alle Chassiden. Okay, that's no. The song that I wanted to share with you tonight is a little bit of Yiddishkeit, not that one.
It's coming back up.
It's a little bit of the shtetl, because this week has been an incredible week in my life, and it sort of brought all of that shtetl Yiddishkeit down into my soul, my neshama. And it brought to mind this wonderful little song. It's called Freit dich auf der Nacht, and I'm going to teach it to you. The words are, it's Friday night around the table, and we're singing songs. Father, with the children all around, singing the smears. Father taps the spoons to the tune and gives a little snap of his fingers. Grandma and her double chin, and my Baba had a double chin, and she would rock her head back and forth. Since I was a little girl, I was playing guitar, so she would rock her head back and forth, and her double chin would wobble. Oy vey, wie Geschmack, oy vey, how delicious. It's Shabbos in Cheder, and still there's the tune, there's the niggin, and Father goes home from davening step by step, and he's murmuring, that's the hardest word, murmuring the niggin. And then Father's so proud, says, oh, look at this Talmud Chacham, my little Chacham, Talmud Chacham. You're going to be a scholar. Yeah. It should only happen, K9 Horde. Oy vey wie Geschmack. Oy vey wie Geschmack. It's a little window into a world that's no more, but that we keep alive through these beautiful little tunes. So I'm going to teach it to you. You'll sing it with me, and then we'll go into it. It goes like this. Yari bum bum ba, yari bum bum ba, yari ba, yari ba ba, yari bum bum ba, yari bum bum ba, yari ba, yari ba ba, yari bum bum ba, yari bum bum ba, yari ba. Freit dich auf der Nacht, oi, was für Schieres, der Tate mit die Kinder selber ach, pflegen sie ins Meer. Pflegt der Tate sich erwärzen, bonken mit der Lächeln, gehen mit dem Finger an der Knack. Pflegt die Bobbe mit dem Geuder und schocklen mit dem Käppele, oi, wei, wie Geschmack. Oy vey wie Geschmack. Yari bam bam ba, yari bam bam ba, yari ba, yari ba, yari bam bam ba, yari bam bam ba, yari ba. Es ist Schabeszeit in Cheder, geht mit dir, euer Vergnügen. Der Tate geht von da mit Tritt bei Tritt und murmelt still ein Nicken. Lädt der Tate sich erwärzen, verhändige Mäule und geben mir ein Knäppel in Wackel, pinch on the cheek. Es wachset mit hoch der Socken kein ein Heure.
Okay, so Rabbi Louis Sucker has an original song for us. Yes?
He's right here.
Oh, you're right in front of me. Okay, so while you get settled, I want to tell you a couple of things about him. The really thing is I don't know anything about you.
Good.
Okay, but I like to do my homework, which will come as a shock to any of my teachers in this program.
Finally.
So, hey, I'm waiting for some of my papers back. It's getting dirty now, it's getting ugly. All right, so I Googled Lewis, and you know what came up? The first thing that came up was an old web page from your 2005 smicha ceremony from the Olive Student Center web page. And there was a piece that you wrote for your program, and it contained many marvelous and informative things about you. That you were born in Savannah, you migrated to Vancouver, you were a psychologist, you received your PhD, while I was still in grade school, I might say. And also had some impressive accomplishments, and what caught my eye, though, was this. Lewis functioned in loco rabbinus during many years when the Kehillah was out a rabbi. Now that's brave, because more than a few of us had functioned as rabbis while crazy, but how many of us had the courage to put it in print? So, naming the problem instead of the solution. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen, singing For Who Entered Our Own Loco Rabbinus, Louis Sucker.
Young people. All right, so this requires a very small amount of audience participation, like most of them. And I've been fortunate enough to catch a cold here, so if I move into some uncontrolled coughing, just use that as an occasion to breathe deeply into your bellies and wait for me to come through. All right, so we'll just rehearse so what you basically do is repeat the last line of each stanza. Okay, and we'll just to rehearse it, the first one is, only one went out the same door, he came in. Only one went out the same door, he came in. Yeah, except you want to bring it down, it's like the conclusion. Only one went out the same door, he came in. Very good. Okay. 4 men named Ben entered the Paradise Bar. They never intended to sin, but temptation was near, and cheap was the beer. Only one went out the same door, he came in. Only one went out the same door, he came in. 4 men named Ben entered the Paradise Bar. They never intended to sin. There was Ben Abuya the brave, Ben Azai the bold, Ben Zoma the crazy, Ben Yosef the mild. Only one went out the same door, he came in. Only one went out the same door, he came in. Well, Ben Abuya the brave, he started to crave when he saw his reflection wear thin. This can't be the truth, you can't show me the proof. You think that it's gold, but it's tin. You think that it's gold, but it's tin. Manasseh the bold was frail and was old, and he couldn't stand the din. His poor heart gave out, and with his last shout, and he died with a hideous grin. Ah, Ben Zoma the crazy, his sight went all hazy when he drank up all of the gin. Yeah. His soul got too loaded, his mind it exploded. He ended up in the loony bin. So Ben Yosef the mild, he watched and he smiled, much to the other's chagrin. He wasn't fooled by confusion or charmed by liquid delusion. He went out the same door he came in. He went out the same door he came in. Now, all you who hear this song in your ear, acute as the point of a pin, look well in your heart before you even start to seek out the secret of sin. To seek out the secret of sin. Yes, heaven is there, I do declare. You'll find it when you begin to tell water from jewels, bring up blessing from pools. You'll walk out the same door you went in. You'll walk out the same door you went in. You'll walk out the same door you went in.
That's awesome. We have, we are moving along. So Rabbi Dan Gordon is our next storyteller. Dan is originally from Pittsburgh, PA, and he's currently in his 20th year serving Temple Beth Torah in Humble, Texas. It's the Humbler Rebbe. Fantastic. Before and since becoming a rabbi, he has been known to all, far and wide, as Dante, a teller of tales.
Anyone here from out of town? I am honored to follow Rabbi Lewis, who I first met at the famous DLTI 1, which was not called DLTI 1 at the time. As I tell you a story about someone who I will never refer to as my first wife. Love and the Single Rabbi is the title of this tale. When Lauren, shortly after her 47th birthday, found herself suddenly and surprisingly single again, she didn't know what she was going to do with her home, with her 5 children, with her job. And so she was packing to leave the house of her soon-to-be ex-husband, and she stumbled across a little notebook that had belonged to her late mother. And she was flipping through and reminiscing about her mom. Her mom wrote down everything. And when her mom got a computer, she started to explore websites. And there was a page filled with websites that she wanted her daughter to explore. And one of those websites was JDate. Now, Lauren, did I mention she had 5 children? Yes. They weren't all daughters like Teddy. But none of her children's fathers had been Jewish. None of her former husbands had been Jewish. In fact, none of her boyfriends had ever been Jewish. And she thought, if Mom is suggesting to me from the grave that it's about time to date somebody Jewish, okay, I'll join JDate. And her second day on the JDate computer, she happened to come across a 50-year-old single rabbi who had never been married. Go figure. Has anyone ever met one of those? Okay. Hineni. Now, Lauren was on the J-Date program for 2 days. I was on for 16 years. Give or take. Do you know how few women on J-Date are looking to be a Rebbitzin? Of course, a third of them aren't Jewish. But some are intimidated by the idea of a rabbi, and perhaps the rabbi himself is a little picky. So after dozens of first dates and dozens of no thank yous, I kind of stopped thinking that J-Date was going to be the source of a bashert. But when this profile came into my box and this woman said she was interested in me, I read her profile. And if anyone has ever been on online dating, sometimes profiles aren't exactly the complete emis. But as I read this profile, and she described getting married young, and having a child, and getting divorced, and getting married again, and getting married again, and having 4 more children, and getting married again, and I was counting everything up. I said, there's no way this woman's a liar. She's going to put all this in. This is an honest person. The ironic thing that we found out later was she had selected me, but something with technology, I didn't know it. And she thought that I wasn't interested, and a few days later, I selected her, and we only found out later that we had both thought that we were the ones who had initiated. Aww. So at any rate, we had a long conversation. We made a date. We went out. We had a long, long conversation on the first date. We had a few long phone conversations, and we arranged to keep seeing each other. She had also been approached by another person who she had dated before I responded, and she was confused about what to do. I've gone out with these 2 men at the same time. I'm not used to this. What should I do? And I said, well, I can give you some rabbinic advice. If it's between me and him, then it's a no-brainer. Advice she took. So my synagogue has services on Friday night and not Shabbat morning. So one Friday night after I was finished with services, I went over to her house. We visited for a while. We made a date for Saturday night. And she said to me, why don't you come to Beth Israel with me tomorrow morning? She had been praying at an alternative minyan at a large classical reform synagogue, which is not my favorite synagogue in town. And I knew the Shliach Tzibor, and I knew some people who went to this minyan, but I explained to her that for me, Yom Menucha means sleeping in and not dealing with the Jews. I put a lot into the week, and I like to sleep in Saturday mornings, unless I have another reason to go. I'm an honest guy too. So I said, thank you for the invitation. I'll pick you up at 6 tomorrow night. The next morning, I got a text that said, if you meet me at Beth Israel, God and I will both be happy. How do you resist? So we went to the minyan, and then we went to Torah study, and then we went to lunch, and then there was no reason for me to go home and come pick her up at 6 o'clock. So we spent the day together, realizing that that's what a relationship is about. Not the date you go on, but the time you spend. As a former camp director, I always compared it to the difference between day camp and resident camp. At day camp, because I was a director of a day camp and a director of an overnight camp. At a day camp, the important thing is the activities you do. At an overnight camp, the important thing is the non-activity time. And we find that at these conferences, don't we? That sometimes the sessions are wonderful, but the time outside sessions are just as wonderful. So we continue to go to this minyan on Shabbat mornings. And the minhag at this minyan was during the Amidah. This was the mini chapel at Beth Israel, which seats twice as many people as my main sanctuary. But the 15 or 20 people would sit on the bima, and it also happened to be called the Gordon Chapel, which is my last name. And the Gordon family that donated the money for the chapel has never been fully convinced that I'm related to them. But in the Gordon Chapel, we would sit on the bima together in a circle, and then when it came to the Amidah, we would disperse into the room and each find a place to silently pray. And after we'd been going to this minyan for 3 or 4 weeks, Lauren said to me, "Would you like to pray with me?" Okay. And she led me over to a corner by a stained glass window. And she said, "Here's what I've been praying toward." And she pointed to the scales of justice. And she said, "I've had a lot of injustice in my life. And every week I come here and I pray for justice." And I looked at the stained glass window. And I said, maybe it's not just justice that you seek. Because you're focused on the scales, but those scales are part of the 12 tribes of Israel. And the scales you're looking at is the tribe of Dan. And so we prayed in the Gordon Chapel for the tribe of Dan. And after a lot of prayer, and I'd say quite a bit of justice, November 19th, 2016, she became Mrs. Dan Gordon.
Who did you become?
Stepfather was fine.
Didn't find anything about me, I'm sure.
I did.
Shit.
What?
Sorry.
I found out you have a potty mouth. That's what I found out. Okay, so here's what I found out. I'm a little spoiled because so many of my rabbis, friends, and colleagues can be described as brilliant rabbis, spiritual directors, chaplains, educators. Yeah, or you're all of the above. And also you have master skills that are less common, including you're an organic farmer. She's an organic farmer. Was. You were a landscaper? You were a caterer?
Yep.
All right, well, as Chevra, we never cease to impress me. But most of all tonight, I want to tell you, wow, can she sing? All right, show it, show it.
We'll find out if I can sing tonight. Too much ohala is kicked in.
Is that what they call it here?
Yeah, that's what they call it. So, a while ago, Spotify is one of the greatest things that's ever been invented. And I must have made a choice, and up came this song. And it struck me that it was all about talking to God. And I want to honor Jack Gabriel, who many years ago taught me that you can take a song, and the one you used actually was, you were leading a service and you suddenly had us all sing, but I can tell, falling in love with you. And it completely changed my engagement with at least folk music. So this is the one that caught me, and you know it, so. This old house is falling down around my ear. I'm drowning in the river of my tears.
When all my will is gone, you hold me sway. I need you at the dimming of the day. Come the night, you're only what I want. Come the night, you can be my confidant. I see you on the street in company. Why don't you come and set your mind with me? Now all the morning birds have wheeled away. I need you at the dimming of the day. You pull me like the moon pulls on the tide. You know just where I keep my better side. What days have come to keep us far apart? A broken promise or a broken heart. I'm ready for the night we steal away. I need you at the dimming of the day. Oh, I need you at the dimming of the day.
Closing out our evening, we actually have two. We have the opportunity. Somebody told me, Emily, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where are you, Emily? We have a second because we really moved it along amazingly. Everyone was so good about keeping within their time.
Mostly.
Most. Don't be like that. We all know who you mean. Don't be like that. Emily, do you want to share something? That's great. Emily, and then Yitz and Rosalind, and then we have a band that's going to give us just a chance to like shake it out before we go home tonight. Just a few more moments to dance together and celebrate together. So don't go anywhere.
Emily, I do not know anything about you, so you have to tell us.
I'm a rabbinic student already.
So, yes, we should hear from our new and fresh talent. No, I'm sorry, you're not
Thank
as
you.
tall as I thought you were.
This is perfect.
It's perfect?
Yeah.
Okay.
The sun spreads her bright ideas, harvesting our minds, and shines on flowers drinking water with leadership that's blind. And I wonder, are you lonely in the serenity of wisdom, in the somber song of silence, one-on-one with perfect vision? And I wonder, am I welcome inside you on your throne? It's been a long time coming, this ascent back home. Awakened from this humble dream by a single glance. The sun, I said, won't always gleam, so I took my chance. Oh, what goes up must come down. They say walls that crumble make a sound. They say what goes up must come down, and I finally reached the ground. I finally reached the ground. And I wonder, are you lonely
Glazer, Rabbi Rosalind Glazer. Remember her from Mariv last night?
Yeah.
Was that a wow?
Yes.
Holy wow, that was a holy wow. Rabbi Rosalind Glazer gave me a piece of paper about her, and I don't know what I did about it, but, oh wait, here it is. But I also did a little cyber stalking. Rabbi Rosalind Glazer made Aliyah in 2012 and founded Joyful Jerusalem, Life Cycles and Destination Celebrations. And I didn't have to look at a piece of paper for that, because it was so cool when I looked at it. She's also the co-founder of Vocalote, right? Which I auditioned for and didn't get in, by the way. I just want you to know that. And very active in Women of the Wall, right? Shalom Bayit and other things, right? And she is an impassioned lay leader at Kulat Zion in Baka, Jerusalem. And also, by the way, the whole Israel thing, I happen to know that you get away on the high holidays to Honolulu.
That's true.
And we all know Yit's husband, Hankins, but I also know something about you. Hold on. I know things that other people don't know. Where'd you go?
Look into the program.
He is. He is. All right, you come up and start getting ready, because I want to tell people things about you. And then after this, okay, after this we have more music, but do you know that Yitz has been at Temple Beth Israel in Eugene, Oregon since? Take a guess. 1975. 1975. First as the cantor, then as the religious school director, then as the assistant rabbi, then at the rabbi, and then finally success, Rabbi Emeritus. Long time coming, but you finally made it.
I gotta take a nap. Excuse me.
There you are. Composer, cellist, performer, and all-around great guy.
Super great guy.
And this song, these two songs are in honor of your teacher, Rabbi Aryeh Hirschfeld.
My teacher, my friend, my soul brother, and my music partner for a long time, for about 30 years worth. So Rabbi Aryeh Shalom felt so deeply the beauty, the wonder, the power, the vision of the Nevi'im, of the prophets, and the psalmists. He went in with his search for melody into those words and came up with holy melody. And I love remembering him, and I hope that some of you had the honor, the blessing to know Rabbi Aryeh as well. So, here are two of his songs. והלכו עמים רבים ואמרו לכו ונעלה אל הר השם אל בית אלוהי יעקב ויראנו בדרכיו ונלכה באורחותיו כי ציון תצא תורה ודבר השם מירושלים כי מציון תצא תורה
Torah, Udevar Hashem Mirushalayim. And many people shall go and say, come let us go up to the holy mountain. To the house of the God of Jacob, and we will learn of the ways, and we will walk in the paths in the paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, and the word of the Holy One from Jerusalem. Give me Zion, Tetzei Torah, Udevar Hashem Mirushalayim. Mirushalayim. Sha'arei tzedek avobam, 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 hodeya. Pipchu li, sha'arei tzedek avobam, 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 hodeya. Open to me the gates of righteousness, I will enter and praise Yah. Open to me the gates of righteousness, I will enter and praise Yah. Peacefully, Sha'arei tzedek, avobam hodeya. Peacefully, Sha'arei tzedek, avobam hodeya. Ve'lashar Adonai, tzadikim yavohu bo. This is the gateway to Yah, the righteous entering. Pipchuli, Sha'arei tzedek avobam, avobam, avobam hodeya. Pipchuli, Sha'arei tzedek avobam, avobam, avobam hodeya. Open to me the gates of righteousness, I will enter and praise Yah. Open to me the gates of righteousness, I will enter and praise Yah. Peacefully, Sha'arei tzedek, avobam hodeya. Peacefully, Sha'arei tzedek, avobam hodeya. Ve'lashar Adonai, tzadikim yavohu bo. This is the gateway to Yah, your righteous entering.
And now, if we can find the music, it will spread out.
Oh, it's on the
piano.
I'd like to invite the musicians that are going to join Rabbi Yitz to please come up and join him now. I was asked to make an announcement to please remind everyone to check out the Lost and Found before they go home tomorrow. To more mundane things almost immediately. It is behind the registration desk. You will see things there.
And by the way, you're all in on this just as we are.